jainworld.com 25 years of service to Jainism.
Jai Jinendra, good evening and welcome to you all. Today we have reached the ninth rung in our ladder of 10 rungs. Uttam Akinchanya Dharma. Many times it is called as possessiveness, but we'll want to call it as dissolving your personality. And we'll see in more details why we want to call it like that. Mokshamargasya netaram bhetaram karma bhubhrutam Nyataram Vishwatattvanam Vande Tadgunalabdhe Vande Tadgunalabdhe. About 700 years back, there was a king, and one morning he was in his palace about to get ready for his that day's duties. And then he heard some loud noises near the front door of the palace. The doorkeeper was arguing with a loud voice with someone. And the king was little disturbed that why early morning there should be a reason for argument. In the morning, everybody should be happy, joyful, and get ready for doing something creative, constructive work in the day. And here I am listening to some loud arguments. And then he realized that there is some visitor, some monk who is arguing with this. So he sent another soldier and arranged for the monk to come in. And in the meanwhile, he realized what was the argument. He just tried to find out. So this monk has come and is sitting, and the king is asking, saying that, yeah, I'm very glad that a monk has come to my palace early in the morning today. So today is going to be very, very constructive and a good day. And king said, okay, what can I do for you? And the monk described the argument. He said, I told your doorkeeper that I want to come and stay for 3 days here in this dormitory, in this dorm. And he is telling me this is a palace. Belonging to the king. And so what do you say? And king said, yes, the doorkeeper is right. This is the palace. This is not a dorm. You can see this is a palace. And I am the owner of this palace. I am the king. Not only I own this palace, I own the entire kingdom. And so, what is your problem? He said, no, I just want to stay 3 days here in this dorm. King said, please, you are a respectful person and I respect you because you are a monk. But you can see this is a palace and not a dorm where people come for 2 3 days, stay, and then they go away. So the monk said, are you sure you are the owner of this palace? Sure, yes. The king said, yes, definitely I'm the owner. The monk said, I came few years back, and as you can see, I am an old monk, and I have, seen a lot of things which you may not have seen because in age I am much older. And so few years back I came here. And there was another man sitting here, just where you are sitting now, on the same throne. He was sitting and he told me the same thing. And he told me that he is the owner. And now I find you are saying that you are the owner. King said, yeah, he was my dad, he was my father. So definitely. And the monk said, I came many years before that when I was very young. And there was yet another man sitting here where you are sitting and sitting where you said your father was sitting. And that fellow told me that time that he is the owner of this palace. So king said, yes, he is my grandfather. And so he was right in saying that this palace is his. So the monk said, see, first your grandfather said this palace belongs to him and he is no more there. And then your father said this palace belonged to him, and he is no more there. And now you say this palace belongs to you. And when you are no more there, there will be some other person sitting there where you are, maybe your son, who will say this palace belongs to him. And that's why I'm saying that there are people who come, stay here a few days and go. And this is exactly what I'm saying. I need to stay here for 3 days and go. And the king was a wise king. He immediately realized that the palace really doesn't belong to anybody. The palace is there. It was there before he was born, and it was there before his father was born. And maybe it was there before his grandfather was born. And when he is not there, his son will occupy. So really, the palace doesn't belong to me, and it is just something external to me. It is a coincidence that I am in possession of this palace. So really, I am not the owner, but I am a custodian of this palace. So when we are in the Kinchanya Dharma, we need to make sure that for us, things are only things. All the things surrounding us, all the things we think we own, they are all the things only. It is just a coincidence that they are with me. and my feeling that I own them need to go away and replaced by the fact that I am a custodian of the things. And this is what, you know, we call as Bheda Vigyan. Very, very important that the things are there as they are, and they are different from me. My body is different from me. All the other things belonging to me are not me. I am not the owner, but the custodian of the things. So, this is a very, very important point. We need to keep checking every time, every moment, whenever we are going to use certain things, and which we have to. You know, we have livelihood, we have to support our family and other thing. So there are a lot of things we will need, and we have to use them. But in Akinchanya Dharma, we need to use them only as the things that they belong to me. That possessiveness has to go away, and replaced by a reality check, which is that it is just the coincidence that these things are with me. Maybe my punya prabhava that these things are with me. And this a reality check need to happen every single time we are trying to use anything for our use. And so Kunda Acharya calls this as a Bheda Vigyan. And when we are at Akinchanya Dharma, the ninth rung in the ladder, that is at a very high level, this must be very, very, in the forefront of our mind. We should never forget that, even for a moment. So this reality check need to be there, this awareness need to be there every single moment of our life. Liking and disliking, raga and dvesh, they are integral part of our being, and they are integral part of possessing the things. So there are certain things we like very much, so our liking is there, and there are certain things which we dislike. So all the things we like, we want to have them, and have them plentiful. And all the things which we dislike, we don't want those things around us. For example, diseases. We don't want any diseases coming to us. We don't want any pain, misery, like of thing. So, any possessiveness, any items around us. So, for example, we are eating the food, and there are items which we like. So we enjoy, we say, oh, this is very good, this is very good. So the liking gets attached to the food. And we want to have more of that which we like. And then there are certain items which we don't like. But because we are guest in somebody's house and those items are served to us, so we have to eat them, but a dislike is created about those items. But for a person who is following real akinchanya dharma, he will keep himself above the likes and dislike. So if food is served, he will eat all the items without having created like or a dislike. And that is what we say, that the things should be treated like things. So a like and dislike associated with those things should also go away. So this is about things how they are. But there are also certain more deeper things which are in our mind, and there also we have some like and dislike. So not just against the things, but also against the people. And when we consider things, we consider the materialistic things, and people and feelings about them we sort of tend to ignore. But at the level of akinchanya dharma, we need to be very, very conscious that all those also need to be removed. And they say nothing like the realization of death, which will sort of make us do that more clearly. Let's take a quick example. What is the realization of death? So this man was working late night and he prepared a big list. And he was very satisfied that he prepared the list. He got up early morning that day. Normally, he used to go 9 o'clock to the office. But today, because he had a doctor's appointment, so on the way to the office, he has to go to the doctor. So he's planned to start at 8 o'clock. So 8 o'clock, he started and reached the doctor's place. And that important list was with him, which he wanted to start taking action from 9 o'clock when he reaches the office. So he also carried the list with him in the, and this doctor was also his friend, very close friend. So as he entered the dispensary, his friend was waiting for him. His friend and a doctor was waiting for him because he had an appointment. And then the list which he had in hand, he just kept it there to the side. And so his friend asked him, doctor friend asked him, what is that list? And he said, yeah, I spent the whole night, almost the whole night, preparing this list. And this is very important list. But the doctor said, I'm your friend, so if you want to tell, there is no harm. So he said, yeah, this list contained the list of the people I have to take revenge on. So these are all the people I dislike. And they have done some harm to me. And now I have decided to take a revenge on them, pay them back in their own coins. And as I go to the office today, I have dedicated today's day to start preparing the detailed action plan for each of the person. And so they went through the medical checkup, and doctor was checking all the results of the test he carried out. And then he called his friend in and he said, yeah, Tom is his friend's name. So he said, Tom, I have a bad news for you. And he asked doctor, what is the bad news? You mean I have some disease and then I have to start taking the medicine? He says, no, news is really bad. Or you mean I have to do some surgery or something or undergo some operation? No, my friend, you have been infected with a severe virus and there is no cure for this. You have only 8 days left of your life. Only 8 days. But I will try to give you some medicine. Maybe that can be extended to 3 or 4 weeks. But in no case beyond 4 weeks. But my advice to you is just plan that you have 1 week. And this man was shaken, the Tom was shaken. And his doctor friend said, please sit down. There are certain things which is beyond our control. And I am a doctor, but there is only so much I can do. So my advice to you as a doctor is take this as only 1 week with you. But if you want to still think, take it 3 to 4 weeks max. And as a friend, I want to give you one advice. Since you have so much less time with you, I think you should focus on trying to pay back to the people who helped you, people who loved you, people who gave you the friendship. Because you may never get time to do that again. After a week, maybe the game is over. So this man left the dispensary, went to his office, sat down, and thought about the whole thing. And he realized that what his doctor friend told is more important, to pay back to the people who helped him, who gave him the friendship, who gave him the love, affection. And so he threw out the old list where he wanted to take the revenge and focus on doing the positive things. And to his surprise, after a month, he was still alive. And then his doctor friend told him that you really have no disease. I just wanted to make sure that you drop those bad things which you had in mind and you created a big list about. So, a realization of the death is what brought the dramatic change in that man's life. From totally negative, he went to the positive. And so when we are in the Akinchanya Dharma, we need to drop that part of our personality which is still clinging to the past, which is still clinging to the negativity, and convert that into the positivity. And that is an important transformation. We need to get it done during the Akinchanya Dharma. So, in the Akinchanya Dharma, what we have to really do is start dropping the layer of our personality, There are several layers of our personality. The layer associated with the physical items surrounding us, maybe what we used to call as I am the owner, and now at this stage we are going to call them that we are a custodian. It is just a coincidence that these things are with me. And at the next level of dropping, the next layer is all the, you know, enmity level things which we have accumulated over the years. So that part of personality also need to be dropped. And then there are more deeper layers of our personality. Some of them are in our conscious mind, some of them are in our subconscious mind, like certain bad habits. They are deep rooted in our unconscious mind. So we need to be able to drop those levels of our personality which keeps us tied down to the subconscious and unconscious mind levels. And it needs a lot of effort. It is not that simple. But just imagine that there is a camphor. So you take out some camphor and keep it open. Say this is the morning time, and in the evening you come and see there is no camphor left. The camphor got dissolved into the thin air. Same way, we need to start dropping out one layer of the personality, and the second layer will come and we need to drop that, and the third layer will come and we need to drop that, and the fourth layer will come and we need to drop that, until we reach the layer where there is a Chaitanya Shakti, there is our Atma, there is our soul. And like we keep peeling the onion, one layer, there is another layer inside, and the third layer and fourth layer, and when there is no layer left. So that is why we call Akinchanya Dharma is dissolving your personality. Once we dissolve the personality, we will be a very beautiful term called Nissanga, that we do not possess anything, we do not have any negativity attached to us. And like the thin air, which can go here, there without any obstruction, and which doesn't obstruct other people. So that is the type of our personality which is at the innermost, and all other layer we need to start dropping out. So a layer comes, we need to keep asking, hey, is this me? Is this real me? And the answer is no. So we need to make efforts to drop that layer. So this is what then we say that I am Jnana Darshana Charitrya Roop. So that is my real self, which is, seeing and knowing and being. And it will take time, we know, but Akinchanya Dharma is the level, the ninth rung. That is where we need to go deeper into that. So there was a king at the time of Bhagwan Mahavira called Prasanna Jit, and he renounced his kingdom and took and became a monk. And he was so handsome, so young, and he is busy doing the penance. And some people are walking by. They are staying in the same kingdom where he was king earlier. And he handed over the kingdom to his son, who was very, very small, less 11, 12 years. And these people are walking by, and then they are laughing and saying, "Look at this stupid fellow standing here doing penance. And he thinks he is great." And there, his son, 12 years, so all his ministers are working against him and trying to topple the kingdom, and maybe they will kill him. And they passed by. And Prasanajit, he was in a deep meditation, but when he heard this, his anger came out. And he said, "Oh, what do they think? I am still alive. And they want to kill my son. I am going to go and kill them." And um, he had one habit that whenever he will take out the sword when he was king, by one hand he will take out the sword, and by another hand he will touch his crown and make sure that it is at the same place, it is not, moving from there. So in the anger he forgot that there is no sword, there is no crown, he is a monk now, and so one hand went where the sword used to be there, and another hand went up where the crown used to be there. And then he realized, oh my goodness, there is no sword, there is no crown. And I was dragged into what I am not now. And so he quickly realized that and got himself under the control. So there are deeper layers, even though outwardly you have given up the relationships, deep inside the strengths of those relationships are still intact. And when we are in a kinchanya dharma, we need to cleanse all those deeper layers, those strengths which still keeps us tied to the past. And that's why this is very, very important. And so today we will also go into little deeper layers and try to understand 2 or 3 important concepts which we haven't discussed in great detail. We touched upon it a little bit, but today is the time to go into real depth about those 2 things. But before that, another part of the layer of our personality we'll try to understand, and then go to understand those 2, 3 principles. So we have seen that we have deeper layers like our habits and our sort of thinking about our previous relationships or our status in the society or how great we were, you know, or our wealth and all other things. So, there are a lot of people, for example, they give to the donation and they have a big list ready as to what donation when they give, what donation when they give, and if there is a discussion somewhere in the society or among the friends, then they will say, I gave so many, you know, dollars worth of donation, and I gave for last 10 years I'm giving, and first I gave so much, then next year I gave so much, and so this type of layer is existing. And when we are in the Kinchanya Dharma, we have to cleanse this layer, drop that layer also. That again, go back to the same, that you had so much and it was a coincidence. It was your punya prabhav that you got those things. And you were really custodian. And out of that custodianship, you give that amount. And so, all such things where you have tied yourself to some greatness of your acts, we need to drop all of them. So, a finer level of cleansing is what the Akinchanya Dharma is all about. And so, one more layer, this one also need to be dropped. Let's spend a little time in understanding the difference between mind, mana, and a chitta. So, because in a lot of times, and maybe 90% of the time, people are confused about the mind, mana, and a chitta, and they think, they are unable to distinguish, and then they tend to spend time on the wrong things. So a lot of time, efforts, and other things are spent in the wrong direction, and that brings the frustration to them rather than any fulfillment. And so it is very, very important to understand the relationship between mind and chitta, where the mind, what is the mind's function, what is the function of the chitta. So chitta is connected with our Chetan Shakti, is connected with our Atma. And so it is part of our living being. And mind, mana, the mind, is not a living being, it is a Pudgala. So it is just like a mechanism. And all the energy mind needs is supplied by Chitta. So it is like in our house there are several gadgets. There are fans and there is a fridge and there is a dishwasher and washing machine and drying machines and whole lot of other gadgets spread over the house. And suddenly the current goes because there is a storm surge or whatever reason, the current has gone. So all these gadgets will not work because they are mechanism needing the electricity for them to run. Similarly, mind is a mechanism which needs the energy which is supplied by the chitta. And only when chitta supplies the energy, the mind can work. So if chitta is not supplying the energy, the mind remains dormant. It is hibernated. Like when we don't want to use our PC, we put it in hibernation. We close the lid and then we say, okay, the PC goes to the hibernation. So mind, if the chitta is not supplying anything, any energy, the mind goes in the hibernation. It cannot work. It's a gadget without energy. So how do we explain mind doing certain bad things and mind doing certain good things? So when our chitta has a greater influence from the karma, so as we have seen, there is a Atma from which the pure Chetan Shakti is coming out, but there is a karman body where the karma fruition is happening all the time, and that karmic influx coming from the karman body gets mixed with the Chetan Shakti, and then it camouflages all the power, the real power of Chetan Shakti, and only a small part of that Chetan Shakti is visible, is usable. So, let us say at this moment there is a big influx of Mohaniya karma, and so all the Mohaniya karma related vibrations are mixed in the Chetan Shakti, so your Chitta. So we have seen that when karmic flux gets into the Chetan Shakti, we call it as Adhyavasai. And after the Adhyavasai, a Chitta is created. And after that, we have the Bhavana. And after that, we have the Lesha. And after that, we have the Tejas body. And after that, we have the physical body. So a chitta is created this point in time with the influx of a Mohaniya karma. So Mohaniya karma will bring like and dislike, raga, dvesh, and the four passions of anger, ego, decide, and the greed, krodhman, maya, lobh. So now our Chetana Chitta is all polluted, impure with this influx. And so it will provide this impure energy to the mind. And so now mind will do all the bad things. It will get into anger, it will get into greed, it will get into ego, and all related activities will be done. But let us say there is another movement where there is no influx of Mohaniya karma, and you are sort of at a little pure level of Chetan Shakti, pure level of Chitta. Let us say you are in presence of some good monk or somebody or like that, or you are in the deep meditation posture, dhyana, So your Chetan Shakti will be purer. And if that Chitta is supplying the energy to the mind, then our mind will be busy doing the good things. So, mind is really like a servant who receives the order from Chitta, and based on the order, he will execute the things. So, if mind is doing bad, it is because the Chitta has supplied it the energy which is polluted, say by Mohaniya karma. And in this moment, mind is doing good things. It is because the Chitta now, because you are in a deep meditation dhyana, nirvikalpa dhyana, so there is no impurity coming from the Mohaniya karma. So now the mind will do the good things. So it is extremely important for us to have the clarity that the real boss is a Chitta and mind is just a executing agency. It is just an instrument which will do as per the instructions coming from Chitta. So it is coming with the impurities, accordingly the mind will execute. If it is coming with the pure Chitta, accordingly the mind will. And let us say there is a moment where Chitta is not supplied anything to the mind. So just for a moment, you are in the nirvikalpa, dhyana, deep meditation, then the mind is at standstill. Mind has nothing to do. It is waiting for the orders to come from the Chitta. And so it is just not present, as if it is not present. And so the concept, some people promote the concept that you control the mind. And a lot of people spend a lot of energy, time in wanting to do that. But once you understand that it is the Chitta which is driving the mind, then you really know that you need to focus on Chitta. Get the Chitta purification done, and mind is just a servant. So when you want to get something done, you don't discuss with the servants. You go to the owner, you go to the real owner and discuss. So this way, all the things which we think needs a mind control is really what you need is the purification of your Chitta. And this is important to have the clarity about this. Because many people, I would say 90%, and I'm just guessing, of the people who reached the ninth rung. And let me tell you, friends, out of 1,000 or out of 10,000, 2 or 3 will reach the ninth rung. It's not easy. So let us not have the false expectations. It is important that we set our expectations right. And so it is important to understand this. What is because see, like if you want to produce something, let's say you are in the manufacturing business and you want to produce something. So what you need the complete knowledge firstly about the bill of material, how that product is finally made and what are the components. Then after the bill of material, you need to know what raw material is needed. And then you need to know what is the routing process associated with each step. And then you need to know what tools and what machines are required. And then you need to know what type of manpower, what skills sets are required for those people. And then you need to know the availability of the machines and the tools. And based on that, you need to create a real work order. And then you can start the manufacturing, and that need also to be associated with the quality control and quality assurance. And same way here, friends, you want to purify yourself, you need to go through all the processes which we have seen. And that's why a clarity is needed as to how this is going to happen. And that's why it is important to understand the difference between Chitta and Mana, the mind and your Chetan Shakti. And if you do not have clarity, you may be doing things in the wrong way, wasting your time and efforts. So as we had seen previously, we need to go and put the theory into practice in the laboratory of our own life. Apana such a message that you need to discover the truth yourself. A truth discovered by somebody else can only help you to some extent to frame up your theory. But like in chemistry lab, we go, having learned the theory, we go and do the experiment. And then we say, yes, theory says put the red litmus, and now at the end of this it should turn blue. And then you say, yes, the red litmus I put, it has become blue. And that is not enough. When you do the theory, nobody is checking, but when you do the practical, once you complete the experiment, you have to go and show it to your professor, and he will recheck everything, and he will come and put the red litmus, and it turns blue. Then he will say, yeah, theory was there, you did the experiment, you did that, and I have verified that it is correct. And same way, so apana sacha message through which we get the Atmanubhuti, and only when you get the Atmanubhuti, as we have seen earlier, Bhagwan Mahavir says, the level of your Atmanubhuti is the level at which your religiousness is. If your Atmanubhuti is zero, naturally your religiousness is zero, no matter what you are doing. And so, when we are in Akinchanya Dharma, we need to remember all these things, because this is the final purification process. A final product is going to come out. So it has to pass all the quality control tests. And so the relationship between mind and Chetan, Chitta, is extremely, extremely important. And we'll take one more part which I think we need to understand, and this is the Chetan Chitta or Chetan Shakti Chitta. It has multiple dimensions, and many times we assume it is just one dimension, and no. So having understood the relationship between Chitta and Mana, Now we need to understand the layers within the within the chitta, because chitta is the boss, chitta is driving the mind. And so, having understood that relationship, it is important that we understand about the chitta itself. So in chitta, we'll talk about three layers because we don't have much time to go in greater detail. And so one is and I will use the original word, so because the English equivalent will not give the correct meaning. So the original word of the Chetna is Jnana Chetana. Sometimes in Hindi we call it as Jnana Chetana, but the original word is Jnana, Jnana Chetana. And Jnana is different than what we call in English knowledge. This has to be remembered very clearly because many times a lot of us confuse that what I know in the outer as a knowledge is the jnana. No. The outer, what we call as a knowledge, is the collection of information which you collected by hearing from others or reading something or doing internet search or whatever. And that is important in the external for your livelihood and your social relationship, when its importance is not reduced. But the jnana which we associate with Chetna is a deeper layer which comes from your Chetan Shakti, and it doesn't come from any external sources. So that confusion, I think we have discussed a little more on that, and we need to just refresh that this jnana or jnana as we call it in some languages is different from the so-called knowledge, which is collection of information. So jnana chetana, karma chetana, and karma phala chetana. So these three layers we need to understand so that we go to the one of the deeper layers of purification. And this clarity, this theory is very, very important to understand, to make sure that we are not wasting our time and efforts and energy in the wrong direction, because that will only bring the frustration when you see nothing happening. But if you put the same amount of efforts and time and energy, definitely you will start seeing the result yourself. So jnana chetana, karma phala chetana. Let's quickly understand this. So karma chetana is basically the activities you are doing. So you are eating the food, you are doing some other things. So this is a karma chetana. Something is happening. Karma phala chetana is a slightly different layer, and this is what is the sort of effect of whatever actions you have done. So let us say this time is your punyodaya, and whatever things you are getting is because of your punyodaya. And so you keep thinking that, oh, I should get this and I should get that and I should get that and I should get that. So this is your chitta going into the karma phala chetana layer. It is trying to, it is wanting to, get into that aspect. So that is the karma phala chetana. You are wanting, you are expecting, you are desiring that this. And karma chetana basically is the actions you are doing, and if associated with that action, there is a like and dislike, raga and dvesh, or the association of your four kashai, krodh, man, maya, lobh, anger, ego, decide, and the greed. That is what is the karma chetana. And jnana chetana, which is the most important layer, is where you are above the karma phala chetana, you are above the karma chetana, and you are associated only with your chetan shakti. And those movements will be few. In the initial stages, it may be just momentarily. But as you go deeper, as you refine your dhyana skill, as you refine the skill to be in the nirvikalpa, then these movements would be longer and longer. So let us assume you have developed the skills, you have sharpened your skills to be able to remain in nirvikalpa dhyana. So during that moment, you will experience the real qualities of Chetna, Chetan Shakti, which is part of your Atma, coming from the Atma. And that is known as the Jnana Chetana. And when you are there, that is where you get the real Jnana, real Darshan. And there are four important qualities, like we call Chatushtaya, Ananta Chatushtaya. This is the quality of Arihanta. What are those Ananta Chatushtaya? Jnana, Darshana, Virya, which is also called as a Bala, and Ananda, Akhanda Ananda. So we call Ananta Jnan, Ananta Darshan, Ananta Virya, and Akhanda Ananda, or Ananta Sukha also. And we know, we have seen earlier also, that each item has so much of energy, Ananta, because in today's world, we have the proof when the first atom bomb was exploded. The principle is you just split the atom, and one atom has so much energy. And that's why our acharyas in Jainism, we say that when we are at the purer level of our Chetan Shakti, then we have Ananta Jnan, Ananta Darshan, Ananta Virya or Ananta Bala, and Akhanda Ananda or Ananta Sukha. And so when we are momentarily, just for a fraction of a second there, experiencing the Jnana Chetana, then for that fraction, we may not have the Ananta, but we have the experience of Jnana, Darshana, Virya, and Ananda. These are the four qualities. But for that, you need to reach to the Jnana Chetana. And the objective of Akinchanya Dharma is at least reach at that level, at least momentarily. Fraction of a second. But that will give you the Atmanubhuti. Even that fraction of a second Atmanubhuti will be enough to change the way we look at the things. As they say, even a small spark is enough to create the fire big enough to burn everything around. A small spark. And here, this is a small spark of Jnana Chetana, And if we can bring that, that will change our life. And that is the objective of Akinchanya Dharma, friends. So Akinchanya Dharma is dropping all the layers of your personality one by one, one by one, one by one, so that you reach to the level of Jnana Chetana, where you will experience those Jnana Darshana, Virya, and the Akhandananda or Sukha. So Akinchanya is not just, doing little further refinement of your austerities or, renunciation, but it is much more challenging. It is much more deeper. And we need to understand all these deeper layers so that we utilize our efforts in the optimum way to bring the desired results. Om.
jainworld.com 25 years of service to Jainism.